Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We are here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. This week I'm joined by the former Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz Champion. I believe you're a three-time champion, if I check the record books, but it's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
The hat-trick of achievements. The biggest achievement of my life.
Well, I think when we were recording earlier on in the month, and people will be, hang on, you were talking last week. Not true. Exposing the business. We recorded that weeks ago. So if you thought that was all live, it's never live, but if you thought that was recent, it weren't. So a lot of people are just saying they can't believe that wasn't done sort of near the time. But anyway, the reason why I bring that up, because the last time we spoke was a long time ago, so rustiness could play a factor, so get the excuses out there. But during that phase of your life, you were quite down on this former champion and this three-time champion business. It sounds like you're embracing it now that we've got 2021 kicked off, vaccines rolling out. Jab and go, you're on the up.
Jab and go. It's it. I've come to terms with it. I've had time to breathe. I've got to let others enjoy what I went through, and I thought a true champion comes back, doesn't he?
Or they get KO'd like McGregor did.
That's true. And they just called it a day there.
They earn loads of money though, and you're on course to do that. The public appearances, I bet they're all kicking off now that people are getting, out there.
Who's going to be the new Jake Paul, a youngling coming in?
I don't think we've got any younglings.
We ain't got any younglings.
They're irritating fucks mainly, so that's part of it. But there's if people want to, maybe you can buy your way in. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that, earn some money that way.
Yeah. Honestly, 28 months pure Patreon.
That's what we expect out of people. Minimum surcharge.
Minimum. That's your application.
We've got some game impressions. We've done a bit. Some strange ones. Some not so strange ones. We've got Hitman 3. That's done. That's dusted. Monster Hunter World. So going back in time. And then we should get time, but as long as we don't go silly, Resident Evil 7 and that Maiden demo. So that's the menu, subject to change.
Did we do Rise last time? I don't know. We did, didn't we?
Don't talk anything about that, so we'll chuck Rise in there with Hunter World. So
we'll be a monster segment.
Yeah, there'll be an MH segment for sure. Speaking of money and paying your way in, patreon.com/idle game chat. That's the place to go to get this thing off the ground. I mean, it's off the ground anyway, but pay your way. So I know people feel guilty when they listen to it for free. They're sitting there going, I should be giving these chaps some money, and yeah, you should. So if you are feeling guilty, hand in pocket. If you can't afford it, you shouldn't have the internet. It's obviously a joke. Hitman 3.
Hitman.
So you ain't played this, I have.
Not a single one. I have got one, haven't I? Well, I ain't got one. I've been given one by the kind pals at either Games for Gold or PS Plus.
Do you know if is it Hitman 1 or was it the first one?
Hitman 1, the first season. Sorry.
It was a season. Yes, it was episodic. Wow.
So is it just, would that be the full season, or they just give you the first fucking chapter and then go buy the rest?
Yeah, so the way they did it, from memory, could be totally wrong. You could either buy the episodes individually, which was more expensive, or you could buy the season, but day one you only had access to that first level, which was Paris, so that first location.
Right.
So I think eventually what they did, and it couldn't have been from day one, but later on down the line, Paris became like a free episode, and then you could upgrade. They started doing that. But from Hitman 2 onwards, you got everything day one, or everything in the base game, I should say, day one.
Yeah.
And that's the same. Hitman 3, there's no waiting around. There's 6 locations on this particular game. I've played Hitman and Hitman 2. Enjoyed both of them, very much so, actually. But they are designed for these replays. They're designed for fucking about. They're designed for experimenting. And there's 3 games in a row from Hitman. I've got them, played through them, gone, Christ, that was good. I'm going to go back and do all the silly stuff, and then ain't bothered. So the same's happened with 3, and it's not a knock on the game. It's just me. No. So it's the same system here. Like if you play through these just once and like just play it as like a typical game and just do a one and done, you got 6 locations. You'd be lucky to get the full 6 hours out of it. It can take. I think one of them might have taken about just over an hour, but most of them you'll be seeing off in under an hour or so. So it's not the longest game. It's not got the most amount of content there sitting there, but the expectation is, and the way the games are designed, if you want to get the most out of them, is that you go back, you do the mission stories that are still there, you experiment, and you find out new and fun ways of assassinating the targets. And then they've got all the other bits and pieces like escalations and contracts and stuff that you can play online, other people's creations. And elusive targets have been elusively alluded to, I should say, as of late. But really, no.
They still have them, do they, the elusive targets?
Well, they haven't advertised any as of this recording.
Sean Bean's sitting there going, fucking hell, when am I coming back?
Well, he's dead, isn't he? Unless he got away. I don't know. I actually only did one of those.
What? So you get one go at it, that's it.
Well,
permanent death.
Yeah, you're supposed to get one go at it, but if you exit quickly enough, you're laughing. Get away with it. So
correct.
Yeah, but they haven't been announced yet. They're going to do some remixes of old locations and whatnot. But you get the 6 that are there, and I guess there's no fundamental changes to the engine. There's no fundamental changes to the design, really. But 2 out of the 6 levels, they go for something a little bit different. The setup's slightly different, and because of this is probably the most narrative-heavy Hitman game of the 3. It was pretty much a background story, but this is like the trilogy. It's the culmination of the 2 other games and this 3rd game, this World of Assassination trilogy they've been calling it. And it's much more grounded and built around the narrative, which in some ways is a bit of a welcome addition, because the story before, you could have asked me what was going on and I'd gone, I don't really know. I'm just killing people at this stage. You get a much clearer idea of what's going on this time, but that's not the bread and butter of the game. You're not getting Last of Us levels of storytelling here, and in those couple of instances that I mentioned where they kind of go for something a little bit different, it doesn't. I didn't find it as engaging as like the typical kind of missions there. The way they kind of set the mission up and the way that the mission unfolds is a lot different and not quite in the same formula as what I'd expected previously. So you could argue that you only get 4 of the normal levels that you get and 2 sort of other different ones. And some people might welcome that change of pace, but I wasn't really prepared for that, and I feel like it would have been better just to have another big kind of location that was grounded in the different stories that you can do. It felt like those ones were trimmed back a little bit, but I suppose it was a nice change of pace at the end of the day.
They haven't ever added DLC levels, have they?
They added some in 2, or was it in 1? They did in one of them. They did add DLC levels, but they weren't like linear story ones. They were just like fun levels.
No. Right, just sandbox.
Yeah, again, it is down to you to be doing that. Like the shortcomings of the game are that the combat is just stiff as fuck. Like, like you pull that gun out and start running riot, and it's not great way to play it. I mean, you can. That's one of the testaments to the game. Like you absolutely can play Hitman 3 and shoot through the levels if you wish to. It's hard, but you can do it. But you won't have the best time because the mechanics just aren't strong enough to support it. I don't know what the lesser of two evils is. I don't know whether it's best to have it as open as it is and let people do it, and then if they do it, just sort of go, well, the mechanics ain't that good, so you live with it. Or do you just remove that option completely, which feels a bit like a negative way to approach it. Like if you take it out, people won't, like, you don't want like an insta fail state because it's forced it to be a stealth game. I think it kind of lives and dies on the fact that you can just fuck about in Hitman 3. It is more of, like you said, like a sandbox. And Hitman 3 doesn't change that for me. Like if you played 1 or 2 and either did or didn't like them, then you'll know exactly where you stand, because even though I mentioned they go for something a little bit different in a couple of the locations, it's still fundamentally a very similar game with more options. Couple of bits, like you can now open up shortcuts for your next run. So imagine like little like Dark Soulsy or Bloodborne shortcuts where you might knock down a ladder or something, so it makes getting to the target easier next time. So when you're experimenting, it gives you more options. You can use a camera now that can hack and open doors that you couldn't do previously. But generally, if you've played the other two and you liked them, you'll like this. If you played the other two and didn't like them, then you won't like this. And if you haven't played any of them, then I don't know what to suggest really. I mean, by this time you should have sussed it out. And if you've got it on a freebie, either of them, and you're thinking, oh, should I jump into free? I would give that little taster a go and see how you get on, because it won't be fundamentally any different. If you do decide that you want to go free, you can import Hitman 1 and 2 levels. So I did that, so I can play through the whole trilogy in this one package, which is really cool. And PS5 jobby, so was a nice 60 FPS experience, whereas last gen was running at this sluggish 30, as we call it now. But yeah, that's Agent 47's latest outing.
Nice. Were them ray traces around knocking about?
I couldn't even fucking tell. I turned that ray trace on in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
I didn't notice.
No, it's minimal. It's just you really have to look for it, I think. A lot of it's to do with the lighting, isn't it? The sort of natural lighting and stuff. But yeah, unless you really do go out there,
I should have turned it on and then off, and then saw if I noticed it being off.
It's annoying on because it resets, doesn't it? So it goes back to a checkpoint. So I need instant transition. I mean, it's quick still, but it's not instant. No. But what did you play this on?
PS5, yeah. So I had, and the only reason really I went for PS5 is because I had 2 and 1 on PS5, and it recognised those purchases, meaning I could just import the levels, or actually you don't even have to import. When you download the game, it's all included in the package, and then it just either unlock or not unlock. It'll recognise whether you've played the other two or had them. Otherwise, it could have been an Xbox game, wouldn't have made any much difference. There is a little bit of adaptive triggers and whatnot from the PS5 controller. I mentioned that cost me a clean assassination, because I went to just put a bullet in the back of this fuck's head. It was quite a fiddly shot, and I went to pull the trigger. I wasn't expecting the resistance that I got, and it just delayed it by a split second, and I missed, and then all hell broke loose. But it was quite as a reminder that those triggers, you've got to consider them. But other than that, it doesn't seem like there's much difference between PS5 and Series X. If you're playing them, it'll look nice and run pretty well on either of those, and PC obviously taking titles.
Well, was the levels of that, was these some of the best looking out of the trilogy?
It's tough because they do look nicer. They don't. I don't think they've pushed the technology much further. They haven't put more people in and done that sort of thing. But it does look a bit cleaner. Does look a bit nicer. Obviously runs better. And there's a couple of the locations look really like phenomenal. Like they're really nice locations, and I don't want to like talk what the locations are. People can look them up if they want, but you can just find them and see them, and you'll think, "Cool, that's lovely, beautiful old bollocks." So, yeah, I think they done well with the location. They've picked some really interesting ones. Like they've definitely tried to do new things, like and sprinkled it in throughout. They've not like pushed it all in your face and gone, right, we're fundamentally changing it. Like the second mission's in a mansion, right, and one of the stories that you can go through and do is there's a private detective turn up that day to investigate something at the house, and you can obviously steal his outfit, knock him out, kill him, whatever you want to do, and then you can either carry on and just kill whoever you need to kill, or you can go and solve the mystery as well. And that's interesting because that's like a little side project, and it will present like another opportunity to kill the target, which is probably why you'd want to do it. But there's a lot of moving parts on that level, and it's really interesting to see that play out if you go down that route and get your private eye on. So they definitely added a little bit of value there, but fundamentally, mechanically, you're looking at Hitman 2 and 1 just been refined. And now if you've got those two, you've got one little game to play it on. You just boot that up and you can play through the whole trilogy, which I plan to do. I plan to replay the entire trilogy from start to finish over the course of the next year or so.
Nice. It hasn't got cross-save. So if you started one on a different console, would it back it up on all of them, or...
So
just consoles?
You can, not over different consoles. So if you're on Xbox and then got it on PlayStation, you're shit out of luck. Right. But if you played Hitman 2, your progress can be carried over. So whatever you played on that game will be carried over. However, if you played Hitman 1, I'm just going to go Hitman 1 on that Hitman 1, that first season. Yeah. Then played Hitman 2, which you could import the Hitman 1 levels into as well. But if you play them separately and they're separate games, it'll only import Hitman 2's progress. So in order to get everything, you had to have played Hitman 1 levels on Hitman 2, if that makes sense, and then you'd get all the progress from Hitman 2 over. So that's what caused me to reset my profile with IO.
See.
GDPR claim. And I didn't like having only 2 stuff on there. You can choose not to import it. Like, you don't have to import it, but... you just make sure if you are going to import it, don't start Hitman 3 because it will reset your Hitman 3 progress. Cool. So you have to make a decision before you want to kick off and start. But yeah, any other questions before I put thumbs wherever they need to be going?
No. So you do think you will be going back and giving it a full shagging?
Yeah, because I do like Hitman 3 aside, and not saying it's bad, but Hitman, if you just looked at this series, this trilogy as a whole, it's great. Like, it's a really strong trilogy of games. And I love this incarnation of Hitman. I'm kind of glad that they're off to do something else. I mean, maybe we'll talk quickly about 007 after.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've been doing Hitman for about 20 years. So it'd be nice to see them do something different. Kane and Lynch not up to snuff. So, yeah, I mean, this is as a trilogy has been great. Like, it's been fantastic to kind of have Hitman back after I skipped Absolution because it wasn't really what I wanted out of Hitman games. I loved Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, and Blood Money. I didn't play Contracts, but again, it would have been great. And this is like the next kind of stab at it, and I've enjoyed all 3 of the games, and I haven't even scratched the surface. Like I said, I've been really light touching it and still got enough enjoyment out of it. So those people that want to just keep going back to the levels and experimenting and finding out what all the different stories are that unplay, like, you can have a fantastic time with just Hitman 3, but now you can play the whole trilogy again.
Boom. Have they already released a triple pack? That'd be a bundle jobby.
No, I've not seen a 1 pack yet. I've seen like DLC access pass, I think they're called, for various different, like Hitman 1 Game of the Year edition and Hitman 2 and all that stuff. But I haven't seen a trilogy pack, which you think would be, you'd better buy all 3 of them again in one go. But confident that'll come later on down the line. And like I said, you just have to launch Hitman 3, and you could then pay and access the games if you want to.
Right.
I think it's about 15 quid or something like that for one of them. But because I already had it, it's not something I've really paid attention to.
No, that sounds good. What is your official grading?
1 thumb
and your
up.
Closing.
Wow. I told them about the rustiness, so that's, if they put hand in pocket, be more time put into it. So patreon.com/idlegamechat. Broke the flow now. No. 1 thumb up for Hitman 3, and I'd say I'll be close to giving the whole trilogy 2 thumbs up because I have enjoyed it that much, but that's just something for people to delve on. And as a par for the course, Hitman 3, there's really not a great deal to report on. They've made some nice little changes in there, gone for a bit of a different style in a couple of the missions, so you might enjoy that, you might not, but fundamentally you're going to be playing more Hitman. The trilogy comes to an end. You've got a nice narrative rounding out in this particular one. It's probably the best told story, if you can say that, compared to the other two, because they really were light touch to it. And they make a real effort to actually have some characters and have some sort of arc in them, and find out what happens with Agent 47 and his life of assassination. So those of you that have been sort of wanting a bit more of a hook, you probably find it here, but the main event is obviously those levels, those locations, that experimentation, that assassination, and finding a way to do it in the most interesting way. So 1 thumb up for Hitman 3.
Good start to the year.
It was a good start to the year. It's nice to get it early. And then we'd found out that they're going to be doing a 007 game. I think it's called Project 007. I'm concerned, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think that James Bond's got to have a little bit more action than what these Hitman games are offering. And when the action kicks off, that's the weakest part of these Hitman games.
Right.
So that's my concern, is that they're not going to... It'd be cool if they could kind of integrate the simulation aspects into a bit more of an action game, but fundamentally, people are going to... Because you're going to draw people that don't have a clue who IO or what Hitman is. They'll see 007 and they'll go, cool, I haven't seen one of those in fucking years. And they'll get it, and if it's just like wandering around in crowds and following people, they're going to go, what's this shit? This ain't 007. So I don't know what I want from Project 007. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, any ideas from you as to what you would want from a James Bond game? Would it be an action game? Would it be more of an Uncharted style game?
That's what I had in my head. It was an Uncharted type game. But then, like with things of doing an indie game, and Bethesda are doing an indie game. Indiana Jones. Is it them?
Yeah. It's not always thingy in it, machine gun, but under the Bethesda bracket. Wolfenstein people,
that's right. I guess, I did love 007 GoldenEye. The old
run that now. Fucking run that and see what people say. 10 frames per second.
Yeah, that would. Black skyboxes and everything.
John Linneman doing his fucking nut.
He would. Poor old fuck. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, that's just my answer for everything. Open world RPG. I want a JRPG.
Oh god, don't.
Japanese RPG where I play as Bond.
That's what Creed's trying to do with the bloat. They're trying to get to that level of 200 hours. It's tough, isn't it, 007, because we've had like this one legendary game in GoldenEye, and then after that,
so it's I tell you what I don't want is Hitman 007.
No, I don't either.
Sandbox fucking
it's got to have more action, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs set pieces. It does
need set pieces. That's a staple of the movies are them set. If nothing else, you're going to get some decent action. And that's my only concern, is that IO. I mean, Kane Lynch was more action heavy, but like I alluded to earlier, not the best of games.
No.
And these Hitman games, the weakest part is that action. So it'll be interesting to see. But
interesting, no, but the studios, I mean, a similar sort of thing with Gorilla, when their pedigree was fucking Killzone, you'd have gone, right, they're going to make a fucking dinosaur robot game.
You're right.
You'd have gone, what the fuck? No, these fucks ain't going to pull that off, and that's what happens.
You're 1,000,000% right.
So with a bit of luck, these IO boys are good pedigree. They've done some good shit. Let's give them. But yeah, concerned. It'd be interesting. There's nothing at all, is there, as to what it is or what they've.
No,
there's nothing.
All they've announced really is that they've got the license and they're working on it. So, talking 3 years away, I'd imagine something along those lines. Don't be drafting it in your fantasy league.
Be
my advice. There'd be a couple of people that might do that, but we'll keep an eye on that. And Hitman 3 is going to get some more support going down the line, so they'll start announcing that. But that's that. If you had come to me in February 2021 and said, do you know what I've just dumped 90 hours into? One of the last things I would have said or guessed would have been Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
Yet, we're sitting here, February 1st, Monday, and there's 90 hours been dumped in on Monster Hunter World from your behalf, and I've checked mine, it's 32 hours, so between us, there's an Assassin's Creed game sitting there.
There is.
And it's February 2021.
2021. We've just gone over the 3-year anniversary of the game.
Right, what's happened?
3 years. So
you've done this to me. I ain't got nothing to do with this. I just went along for the ride because you know the story. You can. We'd started it, blah blah blah. But you tell it because you've got us to this stage now where we're playing.
I got us here. Well, I don't know how, but we managed to pick it up late. It came out 2017, didn't it? 2017 or
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
We managed to pick it up.
That keeps fucking me off, actually. When I say 3 years ago, I keep thinking, because 2020 is so easy, you get the years well covered for you there.
Yeah, 2018.
Because those ones that are paying, they'll get in those comments.
The maths involved.
Wow.
But yeah, 3 years ago, it came out in January. We managed to pick it up.
Go on.
We picked it up in the November. I think we paid nothing about 12 quid for it.
It was cheap. It was under 20. I remember.
Definitely.
And I think I got the digital deluxe version because it come with some extras. It may have been like 25 or something. And I was like, fuck it. Why not?
That's right. We played just shy of half the game, I feel. Half the main campaign.
Maybe like a third to half. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was over quarter. And
it was.
I felt like it was about 10 hours that we'd put in, give or take.
Yeah, good 10 to 12, that's right. Had a little character set up, went halfway through the story, then sort of shit happens, schedules get a thing, and it gets binned, not binned, but to the back of the pile, and it'll be one of those, we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Never did.
No.
It was talked about, I remember doing a podcast at the end of last year, sort of mentioning it, and sort of said, we must get back to that. Then we got the trailer for Rise, and this is what stemmed. I was like, cool, Monster Hunter, I remember that. I quite like the look of that. It must have been, I mean, the film came out, I didn't watch it, it looks fucking dreadful.
No, that's one, I mean, it came out during lockdown, pandemic season, so a bit of a, when it arrives on some sort of streaming platform that I've got, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it, because the monsters do actually look pretty good.
Yeah, but I haven't even had the art to watch Sonic yet, so I don't know if a Monster Hunter is going to be top of the pile for gaming movies.
No,
I had one of my lowest outputs for gaming movie watching of last year than ever, with more time on my hands than ever, so I don't know what's happened there.
It was poor for me as well. But yes, I think it was Rise that kicked it off. Then all of a sudden, you got it with this. Well, you already had it digital, but it came as part of this PS collection.
True. Yeah.
I just thought, cool, that's a little thing, and I thought, tell you what, I'm going to dive back in and just have a little go and see where I was and what have I got left, and try and clear this down. So I went back in, and it fucking reset. Like, I don't know what happened. This is cross with me and you started it on the PS4.
Yeah.
Got a shiny new PS5. Heard that it was running a silky smooth. I think might have been a Digital Foundry. Old John was doing a fucking video, and he said, "Yeah, runs perfectly."
That got my attention. Said it runs 60 FPS flawless, and I was like, "That's." And my memory may have been blown. Like, sometimes it doesn't always. It's not correct, your memory. That's newsflash for people out there. But it felt like one of the things that definitely felt like a bit of an issue was it because the gameplay is very deliberate. The 30 FPS cap just compounded your mistakes. Like, it felt a lot slower, and times you'd be like, fucking hell, I can't even get off the fucking floor here, I'm getting mullered. And that 30 FPS was not ideal. And then when you jump onto 60 FPS, you've got double the frames to react. I know it's a small difference, but it does make a difference in your ability to play the game. And
that's
immediately
me back on Bloodborne.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's not even a bad shout, because that's definitely its weakness. So if Monster Hunter World can be uncapped and be running, then all they've got to do is uncap the frame rate. But I'd seen the Digital Foundry video, and in the back of Ronnie's head, he'd earmarked it to go back. He's like, "Go on," and I went, I doubt it, but all right.
And that was it. So I went back, realised before, and I thought, right, fuck's sake, this is going to have to be a restart jobby. Thinking, how long's it going to take to find out that they've now got this new sort of. They released the DLC, the big, huge expansion, Iceborne.
It's basically a sequel, isn't it?
It pretty much is, to be honest. It does, it starts straight after the main campaign, and
it's fucking shitload of stuff there.
Shitloads there. It's fucking hard as fuck. But we won't get into that just yet. But what they've done is, for newcomers, essentially what we are, really.
Yes.
It's to get them up to speed with it. You get this sort of tree of armour that can help you sort of get through the main campaign pretty quick, getting you up to speed. Yeah. So I used that. I think you did for the most part as well, didn't you?
Yep, I haven't changed it.
And managed to blast through the main campaign.
Was that solo or with people, or you firing off
that was
SOS
completely
flares?
Solo, but I played probably half the missions actually solo, and then got to a point where I was hitting a bit of a wall,
right?
And had to rely on the SOS system, which when I was playing the main game was pretty flawless, to be honest. I had people coming in every time I requested it. Since then, it's been a bit of a pain,
right?
But I think that's just due to times a day and playing it and things. But managed to steam through the story in about 15 to 20 hours. I think so, like 16, 17 hours.
Yeah,
I was like, cool. I didn't underestimate that. Normally that sort of thing, I would have binned it and gone, right, that's done.
Yeah.
But this game then just consumed, and it gets its hooks in you, and you're fucked, as you will know right now.
I know.
It really does.
A lot of people saying this kicked off late because of that, because I weren't reminding people I was stuck on a quest.
That's it.
It's
possible.
It's interesting because I did pretty much the same. Like, when we played it, that we kind of, you play it properly. Like, you had to go out, you'd hit a wall.
That is the thing.
You would grind for gear, then you'd be better equipped to take on the monster. Now, what what they do now is, if you buy or have Monster Hunter World, they give you a set of armor and a weapon tree that will pretty much, as long as you upgrade it now and again, and you will get the items to upgrade it really easily just by doing the main campaign, you will be able to take on the monsters and get through the main campaign. Now, what you're not doing is you're not really playing the game in its spirit, because it's designed around you hitting these walls, getting new armor, and reacting to whatever challenges in front of you using different elements or different weapon types or ammo types, or an armor that's more resistant to fire, it might be, for example. But so whilst we, for that that campaign, I finished it as well. It took me, I said, 20 hours. That definitely is not how you play the game. We'll get on to another point afterwards as to what that stung us a little bit later on. But I have the feeling that had I not had that there, I would have walked away again.
Yeah.
Because the learning curve in this title, in this series, is renowned for being steep. Like it is a steep game. There is
not a single hand being held.
No, there is those fucking fireflies are all you get. That's about as good as you'll get. There is a system on a system on a system. With a system in the background if you want to switch to it. Like there's a lot going on, and not just that, there's what, 14 weapons?
Yeah.
They all play completely differently.
Completely different.
So
incredible, really.
Yeah, it's difficult to find a weapon that you'll enjoy playing with, and then B, a weapon that you're going to be good at, because they're two different things entirely. And what this armor and this gear allowed me to do was not get disheartened, because I knew I had the tools there already, and I knew that I could get through it. And actually, and look, this is just I'm not trying to blow my own horn. I didn't fail one quest, and I fired the SOS flare. I think 4 out of 4 missions or so, and I only got help twice, and the rest of it I soloed. So it gives you more than enough to get there, because the game is punishing, but where this armor really takes the edge off things, like you don't lose anywhere near as much health, especially in the early goings. It gives you a real foothold just to learn the systems. Because I asked you a few questions back and forth, but generally I figured most of it out for myself by just playing it, and that's it kind of demands that for you. So it's not a game just to like go on Game Pass and try for a couple of hours and then see if it's any good, because you won't enjoy it.
No.
You really have to want to learn about it, and that seems a silly thing to say, but as we've found, we've had 100 odd hours between us of very enjoyable gameplay and gaming early in 2021 from a 3-year-old game.
Yeah, it is incredible, and it's one of these games that, because it doesn't hold your hand, and because it's so many systems, the more sort of knowledge, there's like people that have been playing it for thousands of hours, and they still seem to sort of learn new stuff every day. You know, like there's so much stuff that probably is in the tutorials and stuff, but it's stuff that you brush. There's so many systems going on at once that you don't, it sort of just gets brushed away quite quickly. So you're like, right. And then
like the slingshots, for example, I really delved into, because I've had that bow gun, so if they're up in the air I can get them, whereas I guess for you, being a swordsman, like you kind of have to implement the slingshot to get them down out of the air so you can get at them.
I'll tell you, I've been, as of lately, I'm an insect lathe man. I'm a fucking... You
were playing that when we played it the first time, fucking springing around, diving on top of things.
Yeah, I really do find that fun. So yeah, out of those 14, I've probably only tried about 6. There's quite a lot of it that I've not actually delved into, but it's just a game that does grab you by the bullards. It'll either chew you up and spit you out, or it will sucker you in, and you can't. It's just so addictive and so minimalist as well. Once that story is, because that story, it's fine. Like, it's serviceable, gets you to know the system.
Best narrative for 2018 blows God of War away.
It does.
Red Dead.
And the pair of them. It's serviceable. It teaches you the ropes. Gives you just enough for you wanting a little bit more, and then it sort of lets you off. But now, once that's done, and it's just the sort of core game and the sort of grind, as the fan base will call it, then this is where this game just opens up, and it just becomes a game rather than like a fucking a campaign you're trying to get through and clear down.
That's exactly it. It just becomes a boiled down experience, and a game that you can just play. You ain't got to be concerned about any of that other stuff, and it's demanding, certainly, particularly in those early goings. But you get over that hump, and you'll be struggling to pull yourself away from it. And I've got a fear this has got some more legs in it. It's going to take some dislodge. Like I was planning to play the medium this past week.
Course, yeah.
Xbox Series X, the first exclusive console-wise, new technology, dual view, and I was just like, I want to hunt. and the weird thing to me is you've been playing the group as well, like two others, Clarky and Pizzola. I've been playing solo, and I'm still loving it. So
still loving it.
If I ever get invited towards a co-op hunt, which I've been frozen out of, I might enjoy it even more, because that's one aspect that is part of Monster Hunter, part and parcel, is the co-op elements.
Yeah, it is. It's this sort of game. I mean, the campaign, like I said, it's serviceable, but I tell you, it's one of the worst ever co-op experiences. In terms of it, like you've already mentioned before, the system of having to. You have to both watch the cutscene, but you can't watch it together. It's been
separate sessions almost.
So you can go into a lobby, but you then both have, because you have to go through this questing system. You have to like log on a quest board.
Yep.
You have to log. Both of you have to go into the same quest.
Yeah.
Log that. One of you, then you both have to go to watch that cutscene. Once the cutscene's done, one of you then has to quit out and join the other one's game, and that's for every mission.
Every story mission. So anything that's labelled as a story mission, that's what you have to do. And I can't think of a worse system. And yet Capcom have implemented it into Monster Hunter World and gotten away with it in many aspects, because it's definitely the weakest part of the game. No, co-op awful for stories I've wrote down here. It really is no good. And I have a strange feeling that that's something to do with why your progress didn't track properly when you came back to it.
Right.
Because you were jumping out of it and diving into my game when we did it a couple of years ago. And that's just unforgivable, really. Like, for it to be that bad, because everything else, when you do just like an optional quest, as they're called, or just like a normal hunt, it's seamless. You post the quest, people join, and you all depart together, and that's it. But not in the story missions. And the best way to do it, in my head, is you have someone that's gone ahead of you in the story, and you just have them come out and help you. Like, trying to do it together as like a partnership just doesn't.
No,
it doesn't seem to work. I think that's a weakness personally. You can say it's designed, but you should be able to do this as a co-op experience, because 80% of the game is you going in a squad and taking down these bastards.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, and I know we didn't finish it together, but I'm glad that we've both got it done. Yeah. And now, like I say, now that we're really at the end game, so to speak, and we can just focus on doing this, and we can do some sessions together and get you into that group and fucking just kill shit, because like you say, there's still many, many, many hours to come.
Yes. So one thing I wanted to speak to you about and ask you about is you've played a bit of Iceborne, where you've had to adjust the way you play, because the Guardian and the Defender armor and weapons allow you to get through the base game without really doing the whole grinding for new gear and weapons and whatnot. How have you found going from, okay, I can breakneck this and get through the story, to hitting these walls, going out, coming away with maybe one item to put into one bit of gear, doing it again, and like going through that process, because that's the real kind of churn and grind that some people might not fancy, and it's a complete change of how the base game works, because in Iceborne there is no breakneckable items they've given you. You have to play it as they've designed it. Yeah,
so it's still the same sort of system, but it's just more time consuming, and like you really do just have to learn about the monster. You can't like you said, you cannot breakneck it whatsoever. No. So like even the first enemy is ironically an ice one. So I think I went into Iceborne without any sort of fire weapons, so I got absolutely fucking mullered, because this is also just an increase in rank. You start off in the world as a low rank, then you go up to a high rank, and there's certain end game like segments that will increase the rank or whatever. But there's always been this rank, the highest end game rank throughout all of the or most of the Monster Hunter games called G rank. Well, Iceborne is that equivalent, but they've changed the name to Master rank.
That's it, yes.
So, and it's basically, it's not that your health is depleted or anything. It's more that the enemy's health is still the same. I think it's just that their damage is so hard compared to yours.
Yeah.
That I had enemies sort of one banging me, and I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I was like, right, this is a real. So I sort of even went into that the first mission, and for about the first 5 missions, you can't SOS flare. So that system I relied on to breakneck, it was like, right, everything you've basically learned thus far, shove that up your ass because you're going through the fucking grinder.
Yeah.
But no, it's a nice, it's good. It's frustrating a bit because it's story elements. Annoyingly, the same systems happen with the cutscenes, which is also another shit. So it's something
the same. They ain't fixed the co-op in the story.
Shit. So you've still got that, but like I say, there are these 5 missions at the beginning that are all solo, which you cannot rely. So you have got a real solo on this grade, but you really have, it's basically just a trial and error. So you'll go into this mission, start to get the investigation, which then builds your
knowledge.
Knowledge of the
and that will tell you what they're weak to, what they're not weak to, where their breakable parts are. So you might have to do it a few times before you get the full picture or understand how you can get the upper hand.
So you'll do that, and then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go back down to some of the higher rank missions that you've already done, farm a few sets and stuff, go, right, I need fire, so for this instance, probably go for a Rathalos or Anjanam, something like that. Get your fucking armour and your weapons, try and sort your skills out so they're the most of like ice damage resistance or fire damage. Just sort of try and get as much information as you can, as much stats up, so you're boosting your health, and it really does rely, rather than just go, right, I'll equip this, which sticks my damage up real high, and fucking blast through this. That just is completely thrown out, and it really makes you go into the sort of the stats. That's the thing with these sort of games. It's not really a gas game, but with Destiny and stuff, I used to rely so much on Dave, just going like, Dave, what gun's this best for this enemy, and what's this and that. I never really sat there and looked into it.
No,
It sort of forces you to do that, which is good in a way. It's pretty good because it does make you play the game how it should be. So even though me and you breakneck the story, now stuck in hours into, it sort of depletes the breakneck, and it's not like we've chucked the story in and gone, that's done. We're now sticking 30, 40 hours in and going, we're playing the game. But this does sort of teach you the real systems of the game and gets you stuck into the meat and gravy. But it is a steep learning curve, and it's one that you still like as much. It's ridiculous because like my first couple of attempts, I was like, well, this is fucking ridiculous. Like this is impossible. Like this is not. I was like, this isn't playable. This is too hard. And it was because I was like, right, this can't be this hard. Surely, I'm not that shit.
Wow.
I won't have it. I might be shit at first person games, but I'm not having it. It's a third person game, right? And then sort of going into it, and this was sort of the early infancy of my co-op experience with Clarky and that, and then sort of learning from then that now you've really got to focus on your weapons. You can't just go in with willy-nilly stats or whatever. And then it was just a simple fucking armor change, a simple weapon change, and I went back in, and I just the damage and my health and stuff was just so much different. Fuck me, literally. It's just, it's just like a sort of a refreshing, and it's just like a war and a learning experience. So it's not something that you would put people off. Like I don't think you're going to struggle with it at all. I think it's good to know that it's just like a learning experience. But yes, it's good because we've done the breakneck and stuff, and we've got to the meat now. Now it's time to get real stuck in.
It's a difficult one to sit there and wholeheartedly recommend to people, though, because it does
I'll tell you
require
who definitely won't play
Biff.
this game.
It ain't a Biff game. It's in that category
This game.
because it kind of demands more than what some people are willing to give it, which is fine. And
Hogsworth seems to like it a lot, doesn't he?
who's that? Sorry.
Hogsworth.
Yeah, Salmon loves it. He was telling us years ago, and he was telling us you can't really co-op the story. And we was like, "What's this shit?" And,
Yeah.
it didn't quite make sense to us. But he's been playing it on PC since it came out, pretty much, and it's definitely
about 80 hours looking at his Steam profile.
Yeah, he's pumped in some hours. I mean, that's the thing. It is like you mentioned Destiny in there, and it is in that ilk of games where you kind of to get the most out of it, or to get through, like Iceborne, for example, without the without the armor or the defender armor or the guardian stuff. Like when you got to play the game properly, your knowledge has to be in with the game. So you kind of have to learn it, and that's just not for everyone, which is why I definitely wouldn't 100% recommend it to absolutely every gamer out there. Like some people will pick up the controls and find them really off-putting because, to be quite frank, it can feel scruffy, it can feel sluggish. It's technically not the best looking game you'll ever see. You'll see textures pop in and load in, streaming problems. You'll get clipped on environments, you'll see the monsters clipping, and there's a number of things like that do happen. But once if you want to, I guess not if you can, it's if you really have to want to play the game. On the other side of it is a really rewarding cycle of gameplay and monsters and cooperative play that you can enjoy. And like I said, there's 14 weapons, they all play so differently, and it's not 14 games in one, but in some ways it kind of is, how different they are, how the different approaches have got to be. It's insane the amount of player agency that is there, but it's not it's definitely not one for people that don't want to be committed to it. It's not I'll try this one evening and see if it sticks, because even after one evening you'll probably think, what? What's this shit?
It's a proper Marmite game, I think. This one is probably, certainly World is probably a real good jumping on point for newcomers.
I mean, they've said this is the most streamlined version of the series. Fuck knows what they were doing before. Even at times it don't feel that streamlined, and they're saying, well, no, it used to be worse than this. And I was like, good lord.
Well,
I heard that whetstone was like a consumable item that you could run out of whetstone to sharpen your weapons. I was like, what?
That's it. Well, listening to a few Nintendo podcasts recently, and they were talking about sort of Monster Hunter Rise, and a lot of people, or like some of the panelists on there, were just like, what the fuck? Like this game turned me off when I had to fucking sharpen my sword halfway through battle to take a knee. And it's like, well, I was like, I can see why that would fuck a lot of people off. But it is a real Marmite game, and it hooks you or chews you up and spits you out, or you get fucking suckered in. And I'm pretty sure me and you are fucking got by the bollards.
We'll see. I might go down that Iceborne path and be like, cool, fuck that.
Not for me.
I ain't doing that. Another cool thing, like there's a lot of crossover for this game, and one in particular I've been playing is the Witcher crossover, where you get to play as Geralt, and I'll
tell you what.
Yep.
This needs a lot of fucking positive vibes from this. No game have I ever played where there's been. Remember there was that fucking what was it? That Ghost Recon Breakpoint, was it, or the one before that? What was the one before that? What was it?
Wildlands.
That was it. Wildlands. Well, remember you was talking about buying that because that came out with like a Predator.
Yes, event. Crossover. Yes,
that was it. No game like that. Well, that would have been a timed event, and that would have been gone. You'd never get that again. Monster Hunter, there's been fucking loads of these events. You've had Street Fighter, fucking Horizon, Mega Man, Witcher. We've now gone into this game 3 years later. They're all there. What game does that? These event crossover things that are normally sort of timed events, but we've still got access to everyone. So I think Capcom need a little bit of praise for that. And what I will say,
I've only played the Witcher one, and it's really good. Like, if you're a Witcher fan, like, it has full voice acting for Geralt, which is not a given, because much of this game, I mean, voice acting is pretty dreadful. You get to play as Geralt, and you get to use his weapons. You get to use his magic, his fire magic. That's like one of his abilities that you can use. And it's very faithful to the Witcher franchise. Has all the little sounds. You know, when you get a new quest, that busts out. Has the music. Obviously, it said we've had the voice acting, and it's excellent how they've, inside the framework of Monster Hunter, created this quest that you can go on with Geralt, and it feels natural in both worlds. Like, it feels a little bit like I'm playing as Geralt, and it also feels I know I'm playing as Monster Hunter because I recognise this world, these enemies, and this map, and it's really good. It's hard. Like, it's not easy, but it's really good the way they've done that, and it's just great. Like, to see that crossover and them to implement it really as well as they did in a franchise like The Witcher is top drawer in my view. I really have enjoyed that.
No, it's good. No, it's a real good section of the game, and this is just side stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Special, I think they're called special investigation or special quests. All this stuff, and you can completely ignore them. But I might dabble in all of them now that are there, and then see. I'm sort of scared of going into Iceborne properly. I've been trying to build up, because one of the things where we went through this breakneck period, we encountered an issue at the end of the game. So when you finish the story, your rank unlocks essentially. So before that, it's tied to what story mission you're on, and then when you finish, the idea is that you can progress that. You know, you do like 2 or 3 hunts maybe, and you'll go up a level. Generally, it'll get less and less, I guess, as time goes on. But that's supposed to happen at the end of the game, because in order to get through the game normally, you would have been doing the optional quests, investigations, and other bits to grind your gear to get up to the level to do it. Where the game gave us these items to start with that lets you ignore those, and I think that's what we pretty much both did. I think I did about 3 optional stuff before I got to the end of the game. We were stuck on rank 16. And
I'd love to know if this is an actual bug or if this is just Capcom's fucking middle finger to Breakneck.
Yeah, because we were stuck on level 16. Mine started about a quarter up to level 16, and I could do the hardest quest that there is out there and complete it, and I would get 5% move. It would move 5% forward. It didn't matter what I did, whether I did the easiest or the hardest. My rank or progress of a rank would only move 5%. And
I'll tell you what, this is the make 'em or break 'em challenge.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. If you can get to 17, if you can withstand the grind of 17, you are a true monster hunter. Yeah. Because that is soul destroying.
It was. But part of me makes it think that it was intentional, because actually what I didn't realise was, in doing these optional quests, you unlock items, special items and upgrades around like the hub world. For you know, the eating and the fertilizing of particular ingredients. So I feel like they kind of done that to make you go back and do the optional stuff, so that your hub world had all the bells and whistles that it needed for you to kind of operate at the end game. But I think I spent about another 5, 6. It was longer than that. It may have even been 8 hours, 9 hours. Trying to get from level 16 to 17. When you get to level 17, you'll do a quest and it'll do half a whole level, not 5%.
It's incredible, isn't it? Just watching that bar go up.
Yeah, so that's the only thing against trying to breakneck through it, is what I would say to people if they are concerned.
We had to really persuade Ronnie and Rodney that this was allowed, because we'd already gone through half the way.
Yeah,
we technically had done half. You know, we're starting anew. We're gearing ourselves up, so we got a small pass, but the gaming gods did strike us down.
They did, yeah. They really stuck a cock up my arse. So I had to sit there and do it. And it was soul destroying. I mean, it wasn't as bad because I was doing the quests and I was unlocking new stuff at the base that I should have done during the main game. But at some point I was like, God damn it. I want these done.
Yeah, it's a good feature. If it should be just, spoken about by Capcom to go, yeah, that is a system that we've put in.
Yeah.
Because, we want to give you the tools to get through the story, but we also want you to realise what the game is like. Yeah. And this is what it is. So, yes.
My understanding is that when you complete these optional quests in the story mode, it harvests the XP you're getting, but doesn't release it because it wants to hold you at your level.
Doing it at the back grade. I think when we should have finished, we should have probably shot to around about 20.
Well, most people do, don't they? They go to from level 16 to level 20 because all your stored and harvested XP goes into your character then, and then you go to level 20. Because we'd done probably about 12% of what was on offer, we didn't breach 17. So one of the way they controlled it was they were only worth 5% in level 16. So something was not right, but that taught us a lesson. What I'm going to do is hold off any sort of scoring for Monster Hunter until... Well, Iceborne may never get done, but I feel like it's on a good path anyway for at least you to get through it. And we'll come back and revisit when Iceborne's completed by either you or both of us, and that'll be the kind of recommendation time. And we can talk a bit more about Iceborne in particular. Yeah. But I mean, overall, again, not a biff game. So come armed with commitment and come armed with wanting to learn about the systems, because without that you can't play it really. And say presentation wise, and even I can't decide whether the controls are just bad or do you know what I mean?
The bit to its charm. Well, looking back at the game, if you just type watching to YouTube. Evolution of Monster Hunter games. There's not a lot they've changed over the years, other than the simple upgrades. Even the running animation is pretty much the same from fucking the PS2 days. So I think it's this sort of Japanese charm that they've tried to keep. It's probably a bit of both.
Here's the thing: if it played like Devil May Cry, it wouldn't be as good.
No.
I don't know what it is. This is something about the design of it, and once you get your head around it, it's really satisfying. Yeah. It does have that mentality of once you learn how the weapons work. It's almost
a lot of comparison. It's a funny comparison, but people do sort of compare it to the Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
Because it's your sort of stamina management. Yeah. You're sort of learning the enemies' moves and sort of learning how to counter them, and you have just got these fucking hard enemies that take so much health off. I can see it's a very much easier fucking Bloodborne game or Souls game, but it does have that same sort of element to it. But when you're getting snarled up and you're roly-polying everywhere trying to get out the bloody way or something, and the lock-on system ain't great.
No.
So it's tough, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of control issues.
Yeah.
Imagine playing it on a keyboard and mouse. Cool.
I'm going to have to ask Salmon whether he played it. He must have played it with a controller, surely.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
He might not have. We've got Monster Hunter Rise coming. So this is the Switch exclusive for now. Now, we don't know if it's going to stay like that, but the leak suggests it will at least come to PC, which kind of makes sense, but... 26th of March is pending for, so a couple of months, pretty much 2 months on the nose. I've got a short month in February. You've played the demo.
Yep.
You've experienced a lot of what Monster Hunter and what Iceborne's offering, so you've got a real taste of the real loop, unlike me, who's kind of playing it and hasn't committed to the Iceborne yet and hit those walls. First of all, my biggest concern that I don't know if it needs easing is running from that. I can't believe I'm saying this. Running from that 60 FPS to 30.
This is it. The elitism has started already. No, I'm joking. No, I think it's strange because this game really does sort of the definitive edition is 60 FPS. If you play, I don't even think you can on the PS5 now. If you was to go down to 30 FPS somehow,
I can't. No.
So
we've got it on resolution mode, which was the lowest
that's
FPS in theory, the trade-off, and it runs at 60 flawlessly.
Exactly, so you can't, but yeah, it's just that added thing. So this is the problem with Rise. It is going to be that, but I've got to say, from the demo, it was pretty smooth. So it will take that extra bit of fucking mental strain dealing with that 30 FPS, and it is going to be a bit of a ball ache.
Yes.
But I've got to say, it was pretty smooth and playable. And because it's very similar, they've got a few changes, a few sort of how the combos work. Scout flies are now gone, and you've now got these things called wire bugs, I think they're called, or where you can sort of jump up in the air and launch yourself up into the air with any weapon you like, not just the sort of the insect glaive or whatnot. Yes. You can even ride the monsters now, which is something you've always kind of been able to do. Like you sort of jump on top of them and mount them, and only really in World you could sort of decide where they go a bit, but you never had full control. Whereas now it's just like you're puppeteering the fucking monsters, and you can make them fight each other. It's a real fun sort of fucking challenge. But again, it's just the same sort of loop, the same sort of system. A new world, new characters, and yeah, it's sort of it's across. It definitely is like a hybrid. It's a hybrid of World and Generations, the other Switch game, which is an older game that was on the 3DS. So there's a sort of subsection of fans that are the sort of the hardcore boys that love the old school games. And like you say, they were saying that World is a more streamlined experience. Well, this is sort of middle ground. This is a bit of both.
Yes.
You've got sort of the graphics of World, some of the systems in World, but then you've got the sort of fucking rareness and I don't know. Yeah, I guess the fucking performance of the old games. So yeah, they probably all were running at fucking 30 back on them PS2s.
Yeah, if that.
If that, exactly. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm pre-ordered. I'm sold. I think I'm just locked in now. But yeah, it will be a hard take. But yeah, what I played at the demo, I really liked. Short and sweet. You can do it in about half hour if you play through it. We've got sort of a couple of missions. One's hard, one's easy.
Yeah.
A few monsters you can fight, but yeah, it's probably one of the better looking games on Switch, to be honest. If someone said it was, if you used to say this is like a Switch port of World, you'd sort of think, So
looks alright.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think about yourself? Do you think you're going to wait and see, or?
I feel like I've got to wait and see how I get on with Iceborne proper to do it, and I think really at some point I'm going to need a break.
Yeah, that's true.
And Rise,
I did have a welcome break with this. I think I went through that story in a week, or 16 hours. I think I've done that in about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
consecutively, and then like I say that I was on about 12 hours before. Then played through the story for about 16. So that's 28, 30 hours. I'm now up to 90. Yeah. So I smashed those 90 out, like the rest of that 90 hours in like a couple of weeks. Yeah. I've been playing about 3 weeks. Towards the end of last week, I was burnt out on it. Like as much as I'm still loving it, I ended up taking almost a week off.
Yeah.
Playing a little known game of Resident Evil 7. And then just sort of recently jumped back on it yesterday. And again, I'm hooked again. So you can burn yourself out, but it's just one of those games that's so easy to just jump back in, pick it up. But yeah, when you're pushing 90 hours in a couple of weeks, it does. The grind is real.
It certainly is. I guess my final question on this Monster Hunter is, we did a hype list now.
Oh yeah, this was left right to the end, wasn't it? And I think this is where this Monster Hunter binge came from as well. Actually, it might have been on the end of that. Because I think we just had the trailer. It was like it'd been announced a few days before.
Yes.
I think, or was that Monster Hunter event?
It was.
Switch thing.
That's it. I don't think it made the final list.
No, I don't think it did. Did I chuck it on right at the end?
It got bumped off.
It might have got bumped off, but it certainly was one that we'd forgotten about. And then I was like, cool, and I am hyped for that. And then, it managed to sneak on, but then got bumped off. But yeah, I don't know. It's in my pre-order list, so maybe on my list it should have gone higher.
Well, there's a chance to rectify that. I feel like any material changes, and I think playing through an old game does that, and the demo dropping as well of Rise. Yeah, the hype has changed.
Hogwarts has gone.
Hogwarts. So this is it. Actually, it's done a bit of a favour. The medium's gone. That's out. Yeah. So that can come out. Ain't got to worry about that. If we put this in, it's got space basically, and it can go in anywhere it likes, and nothing will get bumped off. So it's a case of where do we want to put it?
I can't remember where we were.
Hitman's gone as well. That's done.
Oh yeah, that's
beautiful.
Gone. Yeah, that was quite high up as well. That was in almost the upper echelon. It needs to go about just under the. It sort of needs to go where the Hitman was for me, I'd say.
So if we put it in there, it'll go above Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh no.
But below Gotham Knights. And then you got Final Fantasy, then you got Hellblade.
I don't know. I suppose the hype at the minute is strong, so maybe I don't know. Although Breath of the Wild, I didn't even know. That's the one game I was going to go run through again this year. Actually, I nearly got restarted the other day, but the Monster Hunter hype has taken strong. Where you was going to play the medium, I was going to play through Breath of the Wild again. I've only ever played it once.
Yeah.
Stick it underneath Final Fantasy for now.
All right.
Because stick it there, so it's in.
It's there.
Nothing's got to come out there, is it?
No.
So we'll leave it there, but it's certainly gone up, the hype.
It has so indeed. I'm not going to try and replace the 2 exits, so we'll just leave it at 19 for now.
Really got the thing. What is thing on there? Super Mario 3D Worlds.
It's not.
That's another pre-order job that I am quite hyped for, to be honest. I don't know why. After seeing that new
Wii U Tut.
Yeah, Wii U Tut. We've added, talking about DLC Odyssey level, they reckon.
Leave it when I fucking see
Cutting room floor jobby.
Left but yeah, fucking bins.
But we will return to the hype list.
We will.
Due course.
What I'm going to do is shut the episode down, and we'll do Resi.
Yeah, well, Resi's already been done, isn't it?
We'll do it again.
But I'm going to do it right now. I'll tell you what. I had a little phase. I played the demo of the new one. Liked it. I made a big mistake years ago where I was too scared to play Resi 7 because it's the first person. I'm a big baby now. So I watched the whole playthrough on YouTube. I was like, right.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks scary. I'm glad. I don't think I'd ever play that. Played this demo and was like, oh, it does look good. Oh, I am hyped. I do like it. Then I thought, right, now I must play 7. So that was on the PS Plus, and I went through it. It took me a good week to play because I could only play it in little chunks because I was shitting myself every night.
Yeah.
And then I managed to get through it. Really enjoyed it. Listened back to Adkins' review, funny enough, and was pretty much on board with him. I think everything he said in that review, I think I was just like, yep. Even had a score in my head, and he even said the exact same score.
There you go.
8.8 or 8.5. Something like that. I think you made him give him an 8. But yeah. I think you said that there was going to be an upgrade, a PS5 upgrade for it and thing. But I couldn't wait, and I got through it. Brilliant game. I want to give the DLC a go. I'm now on a Resi hype. I've bought every single Resi game on PS4. I'll probably regret that, but that's it. Resident Evil.
In the fucking bins.
Yeah.
So go on then. Resident Evil 7, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs down. It's fucking too scary. Shit, no. One thumb up. Fucking brilliant game. Too scary for me. Babin. Very good. I tell you what, though. I've said this before, off air. For 90% of that game, it could not be a Resident Evil game. It could be any other horror game.
Yeah. Which is
other than
good.
the fact... Yeah,
in
which
some
is good.
ways.
But
It kind of needed that after 6.
yeah, it did need a reset, reboot.
And then you got the
but I
Resi
was
2 and 3,
expecting-
which were like back in, like
Well,
getting back to the nostalgia and getting like the Resi
that's true,
series.
Because I was expecting more callbacks to, like the Virus, Raccoon City, maybe Umbrella, and there's not a single mention of it during the game. Spoiler. And then, they just chuck it in the last segment of the game. They go, and they tie up all the loose ends and go, it is a Resident Evil game. They go, oh yeah, it is. That was a good game, very good. But agreed with what's his name. It does sort of tend. I think you said as well. Once you get past out that house, you start to feel like you can breathe.
It's one of the strongest openings for sure. Like scare wise, it's
compare that to the fucking Norway of is it Denmark of fucking Assassin's Creed?
Oh yeah,
Denmark?
It was Norway. Worst open to a game ever, and then Resi 7 really comes out the gates and shits on you. And then the maiden demo.
The maiden demo, that is incredible. I mean, it's a tech piece.
Yeah.
But absolute gorgeous. Ray tracing included. From the Dimp not the Dimp, the other ones, the digital ones.
The digital Foundry.
Included. 20 minutes playthrough. Again, following the same system, carries on from 7.
Ethan Carter installed again, so he's back.
Back in.
Just think, you've been playing all those games where you play as Leon, Chris, Jill, all these like trained, iconic trained like stars members, and then Ethan's just this bloke,
just a normal bloke.
He's just a fella
with a fucking wife that gets stuck in this house.
Yeah.
And so we're following him for one last ride, maybe into the village. Looks very Resident Evil 4-esque. You've got fucking big tits coming at you, fucking.
Yeah, it's an obsession
the internet
there.
first is.
I wasn't blown away by that, but what I saw actually. I think I preferred the set of Village.
Oh, cool, yeah.
I played the main demo and thought it's fine. The audio, if you put headphones on that, bloody hell, the audio design is incredible. Like, it will shit you up. But the stuff we saw a bit more of the game, like this big giant thing wandering down a path. I was a bit like, I don't know if I like that. And then it looked like there was zombie type creatures dressed up in like armor in the basement, and I was like, I'm a little bit concerned about it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a definitely a change in style. Well, not a change, but a deviation from 7 a lot. It's certainly going with this gothic. Like I say, it does have 4 vibes, but it's a very gothic, especially if we're believed to be vampires. And you've got fucking werewolves fighting around as well.
They should fight each other.
Yeah, they should. They should be like fucking
monsters around there. Let's put the monsters against each other and just watch it unfold. The chaos that can ensue when 3 of those end up bundling into each other. It's chaos.
The turf war.
Yes. Yeah,
but no, it was pretty good. It's very much a tech demo though, rather than an actual demo.
Yeah, I think we'll see a few more actually, because I think they done with 7, didn't they? Release like a couple of different demos and whatnot.
They did that with 2 and 3, didn't they, as well? You had that hour long where you could only play it once or
one shot demo. Fucking cunt.
That was it. One shot. Permadeath. Dead after first.
So you won't permadeath me. I'll pull the plug out the console, and you won't be able to log it, Capcom. So we'll see who wins that one.
Way to do it. So typically that's what they've done. But it's got me hyped. Looks gorgeous. Different changes setting. So I'm all aboard now. I've done 7. The brain Rodney's gone. you're allowed to play that. Forget The Witcher. You didn't play one or played one, did you? So you've got to go back and do that one day. But you've now beat 5, 6, 7. Off you go.
Clean bill
2
of
and
health.
3. 2, 3. I need 4. I haven't completed 4 yet. That's another one Rodney's got to complete.
Remake Inbound. Do that.
Yeah, well, that's it. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Revelations.
Job
Sessions.
Well, shut this down.
Yep.
Nothing more for us to say other than get hunting.
Get hunting.
Get hunting. But as usual, if you stumbled across it, just subscribe. Whatever you stumbled across on. Some people use Spotify. Some people use Apple Podcasts. Some people use Podcast Addict. Other people listen on YouTube with no video. And if you're doing that, you're a fucking nut job. Thanks for your time. And ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.